Over time, endred became accustomed to the life of a mercenary. In Manco, he learned several things from the other mercenaries to add to his craft. For example, Scout taught him how to run exceptionally fast. endred enhanced Scout's teachings to make himself faster than Scout would ever be. And that's not the only thing. Pyro taught him how to easily use a flamethrower and always be efficient as possible with it. Sniper taught him how to be extremely good at long-range attacks, and learned how to snipe a guy from over a mile away. Soldier taught endred how to rocket jump, just in case if he ever needed it, and endred used to jet jump over enemy fortifications, a lot of the time. And Demoman, being drunk most of the time, teaching endred, taught endred how to make explosives near on the fly and with using any materials that he could find. And Spy taught endred how to go behind enemy lines pretty easily, even if it had a very extreme danger ahead. But endred one day realized that his original tactic of just shooting with a revolver and throwing grenades around randomly wasn't exactly the best of tactics to work by, especially if you wanted to kill a lot of targets more easily. And so, with the help of medic and engineer, endred started to refine his tactics and learn everything there is to know about every version of combat. endred went to a lot of shooting ranges and taught himself how to be as accurate as possible on the battlefield. One day, Red Team was supposed to hold a choke point to keep Blue Team from reaching a Red Team facility. endred, while waiting for the rest of his teammates to arrive, had to use an MG42 to gun down as many Blue Team adversaries as he could, taking down an uncounted amount, as no one could figure out how many dead bodies there were around the battlefield afterwards. But eventually, endred Gonya had to leave, running out of ammunition. Let's just say this, Red Team took endred's advice and decided to build a bunch of slapped-together fortifications to keep Blue Team from entering. Eventually, they did have one thing on their side. As Blue Team pushed forward, the fortifications held them back, but they needed to push Blue Team all the way back to the mountains where they came from. And so, Saxon Hale decided to help out Red Team by finding an M Sherman tank. Unfortunately, no one except for endred and Soldier could drive it. So endred and Soldier decided to drive it through the fortifications to fight Blue Team. Now, beyond work, endred did go to high school, still, even though he found it, well, as he called it, boring as endred commonly looked for a way to entertain himself in any way he could while he was in school, and found one way to do so, creating small rumors on pieces of paper and leaving them for everyone else to find. And this caught the attention of one student in particular in the class, or in the school district, I should say. He never really met him. The boy's name was Jake. Jake was one person you'd find to be a very big fan of the media, always loving attention, but not doing anything to get it, not going crazy over it, thankfully. One day, Jake decided to see if one of the rumors endred had lying around was true and make a video about it. endred looked from the skyline as Jake decided to walk around to see if one of the rumors he said was true, where he found some Siberian mushrooms growing in the back of the school. Jake, when he went to the back of school, obviously found, well, nothing. But Jake would recall he swore hearing a faint laugh in the distance, not knowing who it was or what it was. Maybe somebody was telling a joke or something. That was incredibly hilarious. Little did he know it was actually endred on the roof, laughing his heart out as he thought somebody had fell for his rumor and was laughing as hard as he had in years. And so endred continued to do this while in high school. But back on the original note of work, endred over time his plans got more daring to take down Blue Team, and so Blue Team resorted to making cheaper soldiers and other types of weapons. Eventually, the head of Blue Team at the time, Blue Medic, was incredibly furious about every single loss he's been facing.
and in Red Team, several things were happening, like Engineer and Medic and endred working together to improve the weapons. Speaking of which, endred finally chose his TF2 class, and he chose to be a medic. On a more personal note, Gonya knew he had to keep his mercenary career away from his family, and so he took a couple measures in order to keep his family safe, like giving himself a career name versus his real name. And to make sure that no one else knew his real name, he hypnotized them, which is why everyone beforehand called him Endred. No one exactly knew his real name, except for his family, and even then his family decided to use his career name every once in a while, but swore they would never tell anyone. And so, he usually went by his career name anyways. However, on Blue Team, Medic was getting so pissed off with Endred, he made riled speeches about how they should get rid of Endred as fast as possible. However, not the entirety of Blue Team was actually, well, enthusiastic about this, knowing that Red Team had a good asset on their team and now, and like hell they would give that up. And notice everyone thought that Blue Medic really couldn't do anything since he really didn't have any control over well, Manco. And so Medic decided to walk up straight up to Saxon Hale and, well, demand he do something about it. And Saxon Hale, realizing he didn't do auto-balancing for a while, decided that endred was a bit too overpowered for Blue Team, but along with that, Blue Team had to get rid of a lot of mercenaries, since they had an overly big amount. And so, Red Team not wanting to get rid of endred, and endred not wanting to leave Red Team, Saxon Hale decided to share his contract with someone else. And so one mercenary business owner came up and offered to buy out part of his contract for $1 million. Little did endred know, the man who bought his contract would change his career forever.